James is talking about Bob Woodward books. So go ahead and just start.
Okay, so hopefully we got through the stuff leading up to this is clean, is it?
Yep.
Go okay. I thought it dogs moved.
No. I just took it from the laundry pile downstairs.
Oh, that's awesome. Doesn't it get much cleaner?
James folds the laundry, but I don't. I put it in a pile.
Not that I do it regularly, but semi-regularly. I have to say not frequently, because that's the best way to describe it. Kind of sort the stuff, fold it, and believe me, it's not like some people fold the stuff and it's a work of art, right? You know, it's
Yes,
even a
my
work of art
mother's
when
are-
they're folding it.
Yes,
You watch it and you
beautiful.
just go, wow, that's like a dance. But it's a work of art when it's over. But with me, it's just pretty functional, you know, that sort of stuff. Anyway, hopefully you got through, or we got through, leading up to Bush baby's little regime. Well, really Dick Cheney's little regime. Today I was talking about the imperial vice presidency. Started with Richard Nixon in the 1950s, and dates do go back that far for you youngsters out there. And that's just a little bit after the Big Bang. And then, believe me, there wasn't an imperial vice presidency when he was running things into the ground, the way the Republicans almost invariably do, especially economically, but also when it comes to the military and things like that. Bush baby Jr.'s little regime, when he was flubbing it in Iraq and to a large extent of Afghanistan after the initial victories, or what looked like victories, or what they thought were victories, or interpreted as victories. Thinking for them is, you know, like a little bit difficult. But yeah, Richard Nixon at Spiro Agnew. Wow, he followed up with Gerald Ford. And Gerald Ford wasn't entirely there. I think there was a lot of vacuousness or vacuum between his ears. And I'll give you an example of his next most impressive claim to fame or infamy, aside from being president and vice president, was he was on the Warren Commission, who they rubber-stamped President Johnson's idea. Understand, you know, President Johnson theoretically had nothing to do with the process, but it was his idea to have the Warren Commission. The basic idea was, let's settle this before the election. The election was a year away, a little less than a year. And he didn't want any idea of there being any sort of conspiracy, right-wing, left-wing, center. And so, of course, they had to come up with the lone gunman theory. And the lone gunman theory, it depends on the magic bullet theory. And you stupid flunkies, you tend to be people in power and stuff like that. Now, I'm not much into conspiracy theories, but you know, like, you have to be really wackazoid to believe in the magic bullet theory. You're more wackazoid than pretty well any conspiracy.
That's real X-Files.
Yeah, magic bullet. It's going all over the place, you know. And never losing kinetic energy. You know, banging enough bones and ripping through flesh and not gaining in kinetic energy. And you guys that are down on conspiracy theories, I don't know what you call that kind of theory. It's just a wackazoid theory. So, but you know, like Gerald Ford, later president, vice president, and president, part of that rubber stamping thing. Whatever you say, Lyndon, later on. Whatever you say, Nixon. And then, I don't know, whatever you say, Republic National Committee or whatever. Yeah, whatever you say, capitalists or crapitalists. They leave the R out for some reason or another. Anyway, there are the few, the occasional exception, like Warren Buffett. He's okay, you know, like he's, yeah. He's an okay kind of guy. Anyway, so after Clinton, a relative period of sanity, all you faux lefties who hate Bill Clinton, you hardly qualify as sane. So your criticisms of Bill Clinton fall on, not on deaf ears, believe me. Yeah, it's music to my ears, because you've been singing the same stupid songs since the 60s. So I just go, yeah, okay, it's not deaf ear, because it registers, and you're a wackazoid too. Okay, so now here we've got Plan of Attack. Pauline did a review of the first in this series, which was Bush at War, right?
I did a bad review because I didn't actually care about the book that much.
Well, Guy's a good writer and stuff like that, but you can get a lot of information. He leaves some stuff out, though. So, Plan of Attack. This is when they're planning to attack Iraq. And got no problem with bringing Saddam Hussein down. No problem at all. That guy was a Nazi. He was a National Socialist. Only he was worse, because he was really what I call a Nazi commie. In other words, he's even more totalitarian than the Nazis in Germany were. How totalitarian? As totalitarian as the commies were. You'll notice, like, you'll get Nazi and fascist leaders, and they can be deposed, they can be assassinated. It's rare for people who organize things along the lines of communism, the Soviets and stuff like that, for them to be assassinated or overthrown or anything like that. It's rare for their regimes to be taken down. It took about 70 years, a little over 70 years, as I recall, for the Soviet regime to be brought down, and it took a lot of work by people to, using demonstrations and stuff like that to bring down the Soviets and their vassals in Eastern Europe. And they're back again, they're back like a really bad rat under Putin. So, it's hard to get rid of them. They're more totalitarian. Then that's not to say they're more dangerous. Nazis tend to be more dangerous, but the big trouble is in terms of loss of life internally and loss of life externally, because they tend to be rabid as mad dogs and tend to be very bad with minorities inside their own countries. So they tend not to be nationalistic for the whole country. It's rare to find a country that's co-terminal with its where the nationalities within it are coterminous with the state. So it's rare to find a real nation state. Even France, you look around the edges, and there are more minorities around the edges. You'll find Germans to the east. You'll find Dutch people to the north, or Flemish people, whatever you want to call them, in Flanders. You'll find Italians in the southeast. The real name of Nice is Nizza. It's Italian. And off to the southwest, you'll find Basques, or the Basque area in France, as if I'm not mistaken, it's called Gascony. But the mere fact that it's given a French name and French pronunciation, Gascony, doesn't make any less obvious the fact that the Basque language is a linguistic isolate. It's not Indo-European. We don't know if it's related to any language at all. The Basques deserve a better fate than to be divided between Spain and France, quite frankly. And when you go to the northeast, you've got some invaders, actually, of a sort, refugees, but they're also invaders. And they're related to me. They're mainly Celtic origin. And these are Celtic people. The French call them Bretons, as I recall. But in Brittany, we say, the French, I think, say something like, you'll excuse my pronunciation, mispronunciation, Bretagne. So, big plan of attack. And you have to take down Saddam Hussein. Why? Here's a little. I don't know if it got on the previous review. Here's a little sound bite, or as I call it, a sound chomp.
Oh, that one definitely got on.
It was on.
Yes.
So,
You
yeah,
don't have to.
I was put in here to rid the world of Safavids, however you pronounce it, Persian, and Jews and flies. Okay, that's Adolf Hitler. Way too much like Adolf Hitler. You can't let that guy stand. What you have with Nazi commies like him, like Gamal Abdel Nasser, like Yasser Arafat, like Muammar Gaddafi, is the totalitarianism of the Soviets and the rabid, vicious hatred of people outside and minorities inside the country. I mean, like killer hatred. I mean, to call it phobia is an understatement, right? So, or maybe not right. Maybe you think differently, but you think wrongly. Now, so the plan was amazing. It was bare bones. So it was basically thought up by a guy called Paul Wolfowitz, who I think at one point in time had been a Democrat, but he flipped on the Democrats after the Democrats kind of flunked out on the war in Vietnam, and so became a neocon. He and Richard Burrell and there were a few other bozos. Here's Paul Wolfowitz. How,